Welcome, friends,
to the How-To Heretic.
I'm Uncle Mark.
And I'm Uncle Dan.
And this is your user's guide to life on the outside.
That's right. Leaving religion is the first step into a larger, better world.
But it can also be a scary world. Things work differently now.
Never fear, that's why we're here.
We're your audio uncles, and with help from good friends and experts in all sorts of fields,
we're going to share the stories and seek the knowledge we all need for building a great life.
After all, you only get one that we know of, so you'd better make the most of it.
Darn tootin'.
Let's do the show. Well, Uncle Dan, on this week's show, I think we have a really helpful and informative how-to section with our friend Paige, the psychotherapist.
Yeah, he's going to come on and tell us some good stuff. We're also going to learn about the mysteries of the universe with Uncle Doug teaching us about Deepak Chopra.
Watch out for woo, baby. And then we're going to meet a really interesting group of people that there aren't many of anymore.
Yes, indeed. We've lost an entire temple full of folk.
Yep.
All of that's coming up. Let's move on and get to it.
All right.
Well, Uncle Mark,
talk to me.
We've invited Uncle Doug onto the show to do some stuff.
We have invited Uncle Doug, who I have some sort of relationship with in this life.
You do?
What kind of relationship?
Well, we'll see by the end of this segment. We'll see how this goes. So,
it could change.
Uncle Doug has, like Uncle Mark here, sat in on a couple of Dan's other show, Thank God I'm Atheist.
Yes, indeed.
As a guest host when Frank was unavailable.
And you two are brothers. So literally, your uncle's brother is your uncle. That's
there
how that works.
Is that how it works?
Unless he's your dad.
We're brothers from the same mother, unfortunately.
Right. Oh, wow. I think that was a comment on the mother, not on the brother.
So Dan, what have we invited Uncle Doug here to do?
Fuck if I know. What are you talking about, Doug?
I'm here to talk about Deepak fucking Chopra. Can we edit that out?
Nope.
No, we're not going to do that.
That was my entrance into this podcast. That was my coming out.
So hey, you know what? Every Dick Van Dyke show, he tripped over the ottoman. It's a good sign.
One of our favorite segments here is Watch Out for Woo.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be doing. We're watching out for some woo here, and Uncle Doug, you've brought some woo for us to explore.
Well, Deepak Chopra. Are we saying Deepak Chopra or Deepak fucking Chopra? I think that's what tripped me up.
Feel your way through it.
Okay.
Feel your way through it.
He is basically the reason that the term woo exists. In fact, there are those who believe that the term woo was originally coined in reference to Deepak Chopra.
Really?
Oh.
Yeah. And it is, the Urban Dictionary and the Skeptic Dictionary define it as just kind of a willingness to believe in pseudoscientific and spiritually, sounding ideas. And that is Deepak Chopra.
We're going to the source.
That's right.
Well, I don't make it a habit of learning Chopra stuff, but every time I've encountered him, he has used science words.
That is his shtick,
and made long sentences that sound like he's getting somewhere, and then have not meant a damned thing.
And we will definitely cover some of that ground. So just to go into the Wikipedia part of this segment, he immigrated from India to the U.S. in 1970.
Okay,
and he's not a dummy.
No,
like he has a degree in endocrinology and internal medicine.
Really?
He's a doctor. He's a bona fide fucking doctor. And at one point, he was even. Let me make sure I find this right.
A medical doctor. Let's be clear.
A medical doctor.
He's not an astrophysicist.
He's
but
by no means an astrophysicist.
Still a man of learning, which makes it even more.
Well, it's
twisted.
It depends on whether you believe that he believes what he says, or he's just trying to make money. Could be both.
Could be both.
Boy.
But he's made a lot of money. He is one of the wealthiest people in the new age, new medicine movement.
But there's also this thing, let's not kid ourselves. And this is one of the things, if you walk away from this podcast learning nothing else, it's don't lionize education to the point where someone with a doctorate degree
I feel like
suddenly it has authority on everything.
I feel like you're going to mention Dr. Ben Carson.
Dr. Ben Carson is
one of the most baffling.
You mean the director of HUD? Is that who you're talking about?
Yes, our Housing and Urban Development Secretary, who knows a lot about brain surgery
and nothing about anything else.
And nothing about anything else.
positively stupid about other things.
So now that we've established that as a reality,
Well, I think what we've come to is that all medical doctors are idiots. Is that what we've come to?
somebody had to say it.
All people are idiots about a lot of things.
Right.
Most people are expert on one or two things, if they're lucky, 3 or 4. Most people aren't expert about anything.
And a great trick is to just learn to shut the hell up when you don't know something about something.
And Deepak Chopra has not learned that trick.
All right, so let's dig in. What can we learn from Deepak?
Well, just as you were saying, what he kind of excels in is taking particularly language related to quantum physics,
Right.
and mixing it up with Eastern philosophy and Eastern medicine and his own medical background, and coming up with sentences and phrases and books that mean literally nothing but sound like they do. So much so that his acolytes include the likes of, not acolytes, I should back up, people who follow him and buy his books include such people as Hillary Clinton,
No.
Oprah Winfrey, which
Well, she
Of
unleashed
course.
him upon the world.
exactly,
right, right.
she was his big vehicle into the world.
And as he pointed out to her, if they got married, she'd be Oprah Chopra.
Okay, his stock just went up. I was just ready to hate the shit out of this guy. His stock just went up.
So he's written books. He's written dozens and dozens of books. You Are the Universe, Quantum Healing, Perfect Health, among dozens and dozens of other. They all have these names. And most of his stuff is just healthy living.
What is quantum healing?
We'll get to that.
You get a scald, and so they put you in a wormhole.
It involves string theory, where you take string
And put it up your butt.
I think it's stuff with string.
And you put it up your butt.
Well,
Of course you do.
That's
put
what
everything
all
up
of
your
his
butt.
stuff. I'm just
when in doubt.
jumping ahead here.
So his stick is, a lot of it is healthy eating, healthy living, healthy attitude. Okay, which is fine.
Great. Wow, he's really innovating there.
That's what he's innovated with, is this kind of tying it into quantum mechanics and quantum physics, which, because physics is
In a way
weird,
that no physicist would ever approve of.
no physicist at all. In fact, the litany of physicists who have spoken out against Deepak Chopra is just pages and pages and pages.
Basically, any physicist that's been asked.
Exactly. Or not been asked.
Is
He
on
got
that
near a microphone or the computer.
Has just volunteered it.
So give us some examples of what this maniac may have said.
Okay, so there, among the many, 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 many quotes, and Mark has the gift of accents. I do not, and
Please do not do the
Let's
accent.
not do an Indian accent.
I won't do an Indian accent. Even if I was good at it, I wouldn't do it. But I tried earlier today, and I'm like, I'm not even going to try.
We actually have listeners in India. Let's keep them.
Yeah.
Well, hi, y'all. Okay, how do you say hello in Indian?
Hello.
Hello.
Namaste is actually a greeting in India, in Hindi.
Dan.
It's true.
He's been reading Deepak Chopra.
Okay, so let's just read a quote of Deepak Chopra, of the many, many. This was selected at random.
Sure.
And in my Utah accent. Situations seem to happen to people, but in reality, they unfold from deeper karmic causes. The universe unfolds to itself, bringing to bear any cause that needs to be included. Don't take this process personally. The working out of a cause and an effect is eternal. You are part of this rising and falling that never ends. And only by riding the wave can you ensure that the waves don't drown you. The ego takes everything personally, leaving no room for higher guidance or purpose. If you can, realize that a cosmic plan is unfolding and appreciate the incredibly woven tapestry for what it is, a design of unparalleled marvel.
Okay, Mark here. The only physical benefit I got out of hearing that is my skull caved in.
I feel like my bowels are a little looser,
That
actually.
is the most nothing I've ever heard, including total silence.
It's rhetorical cotton candy.
I'm pretty sure there were 12 different mixed metaphors in that.
And none of them equate to anything.
They're called quantum metaphors.
And it goes on, and all
give
of
us-
his books and his sayings are just,
What's amazing about this is that I know people read this and his devotees read this and get something from it.
right.
What are they getting?
It seems, I think piffle like this is Mark speaking, I think piffle like this
I would
is
never
like
say
a,
piffle.
is like a Rorschach test. I think it
Yeah.
is so devoid of meaning and context that you just project, oh, that's right, I do have difficult bowel movements.
Right, absolutely.
That's part of the rising and falling of a universe that I have no control over.
Well, and I
right?
think, for a lot of your listeners who are newly leaving religion or know people who are on their way out, almost everybody who leaves religion spends at least a little time on the Deepak Chopra chapter of that process because it sounds profound and it sounds, I don't know if I want to give up entirely the notion of like a higher power or a bigger meaning. And it's candy. But at the end of the day, there's nothing to it.
Right. Well, what's interesting about the paragraph that you just read, if I followed it at all, which I'm not remotely sure that I actually did.
I'll read it again.
No, please don't. Because my brain can only be broken so many times in a day. But if I followed it at all, what he basically was saying was, as you progress through life, be okay.
I think it's basically shit happens.
Yeah, he's basically saying ride the wave. I mean, you could boil that down to a T-shirt if you needed to.
Yeah, you can dress up a turkey any way you want. Right. It's still a fucking turkey.
Right.
And it's, yes, there's some basic truths in there. There are forces at work in the universe over which we have no control.
Right.
Duh.
Which yeah, wow.
But all practitioners of woo put a little bit of truth in there somewhere.
Sure.
And then they dress it up in all kinds of spiritualism and mysticism. You can distill it down to some fortune cookie truth. But outside of that, it is just meaningless stuff.
Do you have another quote, like another?
Well, I think we should move on to the game.
I do have, I have one better than a quote. So those of you who haven't spent much time listening or reading about Deepak Chopra, first, congratulations. Secondly, there is a very funny thing you can download on the internet called a random Deepak Chopra quote generator. And you just click on it and it takes words from his Twitter feed, repurposes them, and just spits them out.
Wow.
So I have for us today a game called Chopra or Nopra.
Woohoo!
Where I will read for you gentlemen a quote, and you have to tell me whether or not it's Deepak Chopra
Whether it was computer generated
or computer generated.
Oh my
Deepak
God.
Chopra.
Wow.
Okay.
I don't think we're going to be able to do well on this.
I have no prizes, if that matters.
It matters a lot.
I might have something in my wallet.
No.
I have a gift card.
Okay. I'll take it.
It's a quantum prize. It's available for you in another dimension.
It's there and it's not there.
It's a universal prize made of stardust and
Strings.
strings.
Okay, so let's start out. Let me read a quote to you guys, and you guys decide if this is Deepak Chopra or if this is...
Okay.
Okay.
I've got my thinking cap on.
Interdependence creates a progressive expansion of experiences.
That's
that
Chopra.
sounds Chopy. We'll go Chopra.
That is not.
God damn it. That made, you know why? It made more sense than I'm used to. Like I understood that one.
It was extremely brief.
Yes. That may be the problem.
I tried to keep all these extremely brief because I could get just tedious very quickly.
Yeah.
All right, here's another one. Meditation makes the entire nervous system go into a field of coherence.
I'm worried about the coherence of that.
Yeah,
statement.
again, it made sense to me on some level.
Yeah.
Which makes me think it's the computer.
I agree, computer.
That's Deepak Chopra. Okay,
We're not doing well.
here we go. The unpredictable is entangled in formless potentiality.
Oh, that's got to be him. That is just pure dread.
I want that to be him. It's him.
It is not.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
He's slippery, this dude.
All right, let's do one more. Let's do one more. Let's see. Okay. This one's so dumb. The greatest mystery of existence is existence itself.
Oh, shit. Well, that's got to be him.
Yeah.
That's him.
Yay.
So we got 2 out of...
Three out of. Oh, you missed 3 out of 4.
Oh, so that we won quantum.
Yeah, but in a potentiality of universes,
Right.
I think that what we did was we achieved our own personal enlightened overview of the mystical
there.
realm.
We rode the wave.
You wrote the
I
way
feel like we-
of subjective reality into the coherence of
Right.
potential.
So, I've tried to avoid this schmuck for years and just kind of keep him out of my sight. But here's what I find really odious about him is, if some sad person wants to buy this garbage book and read it, fine. Who cares if it's not causing any harm? I know that's kind of goes against type for our show, but he is the most execrable starfucker I've ever seen. Like, When Michael
yeah.
Jackson died, he's all over TV. Michael was my best friend. Michael was my brother. And there's this class of when you get so rich and so famous that the world doesn't make sense to you anymore because you have no limits.
Right.
That's the sewer that eels like Deepak Chopra kind of swim through to find you. Because you need a spiritual advisor because now you've got $40 billion and you live on in a Bond villain lair.
Right.
That's where he can just suck up money and
I don't know if you guys watched the show Silicon Valley, which I think is one of the most brilliant
I've seen
sitcoms
some,
out
yeah.
there. But yeah, one of the characters has a Chopra style guru.
Oh, really?
That sort of he's the president of this character is the president of a made up tech
Facebook or
mogul, and he has this guy that wanders around and tells him all the things that he that he wants him to hear.
right.
And it's
It's like the Beatles when they went, they got their guru because life didn't
Totally.
make sense to them anymore because
Right.
they lived on a rarefied planet.
Yeah, exactly.
So, listeners, we can prove this theory if you go to Patreon and make Uncle Dan and I so successful that the world doesn't make sense to us anymore.
Oh.
And we'll see if Deepak Chopra DMs me.
You know what? Our show will get super interesting at that point because we will understand nothing.
There'll be a
Yeah.
lot more sitar.
There'll be a lot more. It'll be all the sitar.
Well, Uncle Doug, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate you coming in.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for sharing some deepity with us. Let's move on.
Yes, please. Well, Uncle Mark, I called in backup for our next segment.
We're going to need it.
So Uncle Doug is here with us too,
Howdy, folks.
and it is time to talk about what do we call this segment?
This is Let's Meet the Blank.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're gonna help us meet somebody.
Right. So I think as we explore our leaving religion, it's also important to explore other religion in a way to build an understanding of bad ideas are universal and
Yeah.
everybody's got them.
Yeah, we like to talk about whatever religion you may have emerged from. You may think, oh, that one was crazy, but maybe there are others out there that are good. And the answer is, no, there aren't. They're all bad, and we're gonna shit on all of them eventually.
And some of them are badder than others.
Yes, indeed.
And some of them have basically gone away.
Right.
So let's talk about one that's bad that's also basically gone away.
Okay.
So this week we're going to meet the People's Temple.
The People's Temple.
Shouldn't the People's Court theme play right now?
Is that Judge Judy?
I
No.
feel like I'm glad that we did that badly because we could expose ourselves to legal
Many
trouble.
lawsuits. So the People's Temple, for older listeners, will probably know who these people are, but they thankfully are a bit obscure. Well, it's a bit more complicated than that. So the People's Temple was founded by a guy named Jim Jones in 1955.
A handsome, charismatic figure.
Kind of a handsome, charismatic figure, and
More handsome than most cult leaders, actually. Honestly. Unfortunately.
I think the aviators really helped him. He famously wore aviator glasses. So Jim Jones is a super complex character.
Yeah.
And there's some good documentaries made about this this group of people and about him particularly.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of really interesting stuff to read about him. So Jim Jones was basically a communist
Okay.
in the 50s and 60s in the United States when that was just not a thing.
It was a super popular position to take.
Right. But he was a serious communist, and
You got invited to Congress to speak in front of Congress. You got all kinds of fun things happen to you.
he ended up being supported by Jerry Brown, by Harvey Milk.
Wow.
Yeah, they weren't disciples, they weren't congregants.
Yeah.
Right.
But they were big supporters of the People's Temple, and I'll tell you why. Jim Jones was a lot of things, but he, as far as his social outreach and as far as what he was trying to do for disadvantaged people, he was the real deal. That was his Marxism. And in fact, he has a thing to say about that. He's quoted as saying, "I decided, how can I demonstrate my Marxism? The thought was infiltrate the church. So I consciously made a decision to look into that prospect."
Oh, that's interesting. So
Yeah.
When did he say that?
He said
early
that,
on,
I
or-
don't know what the year was, but probably in the 50s when he.
Crazy.
So
I mean, it's kind of the opposite approach that the Russians took, right? The Russians, when they tried to implement communism, just said no religion allowed.
right.
He decided, let's just do it from the religious standpoint.
It's a super weird angle to take, but I
Yeah.
think he understood in the American context that communism as a programmatic enforced atheism was never going to happen. So he's like, I'll just dress this up in a robe and church, and he basically kind of
and the
skimmed
aviators,
the Bible.
the sunglasses, those are important
And the
too.
aviators, and he kind of skimmed the Bible and kind of got the basics, but he was virulently anti-racist.
Oh, interesting.
So he was determined to build a completely integrated church that was mostly about serving poor black people, but that he didn't want it to be exclusively that. So interesting guy.
Boy, it sounds so nice when you talk about it like that.
And I can't remember the name of this.
so many of these things start out great.
yeah.
But at the same time, started out under such a weird. It was born under such a strange sign because, look, many religious leaders and cult leaders are hucksters through and through.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was using this hucksterism in the service of people, rather than just in the service of himself, makes him a little bit of an outlier.
Yeah.
I think, in cult leaders. So the reason that again people like Harvey Milk and Jerry Brown got behind him is because he moved his church. He started in the Midwest. He moved his church eventually to San Francisco, where there was a much more, like in the Midwest, he wasn't getting a lot of traction with the socialist angle
Right.
and the anti-racist angle.
Weird.
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s.
How did that happen?
Even today.
Indiana or wherever he was. So he moved to San Francisco where there was a much more receptive audience.
Okay.
And I can't remember the name of the documentary. We'll put it in the show notes. But when you watch it, there was a joy and there was this excitement that this church, unlike most American churches, saw extremely poor black folks, extremely rich white folks as on the same level.
I think that's really what's interesting is that, like, we talk a lot about guys who seem to, one hates to be overly cynical about the whole thing, but who seem to be, out there to make some money in service of religion, or rather providing religion for the masses. At least he's doing it with the opposite message of, there's the message of you're broken and I'm the only way you can get fixed. And then there's the message of, like, everybody's doing great. And, I like the everybody's doing great thing.
Yeah, if religion generally provided service to people like this and tried to create a more egalitarian landscape, it would be harder to hate.
Yeah.
Well, so the story ends here. That's very nice.
So to get congregants, but this is how cynical he was of a manipulator. To get congregants at the beginning, he had seen some fake healing ceremonies. So he learned these kind of sleight of hand techniques where he would pull chicken livers.
Oh, yeah,
out of,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
people's
I've seen
skin,
that, yeah.
and say he was pulling tumors
Psychic
out.
surgery, they called it.
Psychic surgery, and then he would have people like Peter Popoff did. He would have people fill out forms, and then they'd come into the meeting, and he would say, "There's somebody whose social security number is 256."
It's cold reading, or what do they call that?
That's hot reading.
It's hot reading, right.
Yeah, that's when
That's right.
you
It's
already know the thing, and then everybody forgets that they filled out a form because there's a guy up there doing a thing and just goes, "Oh my God,
So-
he knew my address."
As his socials, like, he started running foster homes, he started running retirement centers for old people. He started
I'm starting to get uncomfortable now.
handling insurance claims for people. The community became really kind of controlling, and as that was happening, his megalomania became more intense.
What? That never happened.
He would throw the Bible on the ground.
Oh dear.
So his Christian church started to become more the Church of Jim.
Yes.
And so he would throw the Bible on the ground and say, "This book has kept you slaves for 2,000 years. It has no truth in it."
well,
That is something I would say.
right. Yeah, I mean, again, we find ourselves in agreement with Jim Jones, an uncomfortable position to be in.
Up until now.
He stated the Bible only contained beliefs about a sky god or a buzzard god who was no god at all. So it started getting weird.
Yeah.
And at this point, he became obsessed with the idea of that the world by the end of the 60s was going to be destroyed by nuclear annihilation, which had some credibility to it. So that's when he dispatched people to find foreign landscapes. So one place the place they decided to kind of roost is Guyana on the northern coast of South America. And the reason he chose it is because he said it was a black country, meaning African, South American country, where his black congregants could live free of racism, and it was the only English-speaking country in South America.
I'm also going to guess that the rent was super low.
The rent was super low. So he bought land there and called it, their agricultural, the People's Temple Agricultural Project.
Oh.
And they moved down to create a utopia.
Ooh.
Now, sometimes when one sets out to create a utopia, as we've explored when one sets out to explain heaven, one ends up creating quite the opposite.
Right.
What?
So
No. How could that happen? What could possibly go wrong?
by the end,
I'll bet he did weeks worth of planning for this. There's no way he could have fucked that up.
Yeah, how could a story of a guy taking all of his followers into the jungle turn out badly?
here's some dark foreshadowing. There were a couple times when they were in the States and they were trying to spread the word all over the place. And they did these crazy caravans where they'd have tons of Greyhound buses full of congregants going around the country, doing these chicken liver shows and doing these hot reads and stuff.
Chicken liver shows.
Chicken liver shows.
I think I saw one of those in Tijuana
That
once.
needs to come back.
And there were a couple times where something went haywire, something went bad, and he would say, "You know what we should do? We should all kill ourselves."
Oh.
And like minor stuff. Like 8 kids defected and started telling stories of feeling threatened inside the church. And he's like, yeah, we should all just kill ourselves. And people are like, that doesn't seem like, it seems like we can, anyway.
That feels a little uncomfortable, Jim. I don't know.
So
In hindsight, that was a weird moment.
here they are in Guyana. They've created what they, ostensibly they called this agricultural utopia. They were quote unquote self-sufficient. And there had been family members in San Francisco of people that had moved to Guyana saying to their congressman, a guy named Leo Ryan, Bay Area congressman, saying, it's weird. It's culty and we aren't allowed to talk to our kids, or my wife's gone and taken the kids. And
a guy kidnapped her buddy and took him to South America.
Yeah. And so being a highly decent guy, Congressman Ryan traveled to Guyana and they put on a real show. So for the first day or two, everything seemed fine. Somebody slipped him a note and it said, "Please save us. We're being held prisoner here."
Holy shit.
And he's like, "Oh shit. What do I do?"
Oh my God.
And so he had a conversation with Jim Jones, who said, "No, everything's fine. Everything's all right. Anybody who wants to can go with you." So Congressman Ryan got up in the big dining hall and said, "I'm going to leave, and I'll take anybody who wants to go." Jim Jones says it's okay. So I can't remember the number, like 16 or so people went to leave. They went to this little airstrip, and a dump truck came barreling up and basically nearly killed everybody.
Whoa.
Including the congressman, who was the first congressman in the United States ever to die in the line of duty. And
No
injured.
Oh, wait. It killed him.
Killed him dead.
But they shot him all, right? They didn't.
They shot
him
him
with
all.
the dump truck.
Oh, shit.
No, they were in the back of the dump truck like a tank. His goons, and they shot everybody up. Also,
This just took a very dark turn.
well, it's going to get a little darker, buddy.
You're telling me that this isn't a happy story?
And that's how it ended. So
And the end.
All's well that ends well. So the congressman was killed. His aide, named Jackie Spear, was grievously wounded, but somehow survived the incident, and she now holds that seat in Congress.
no kidding.
Yeah,
Still?
she
Wow.
she won election in his
Wow.
in his seat. So after that happened, Jim Jones decided the Guyanese Defense Force is coming. We've killed this congressman. The Marines are going to be close behind. We're all going to kill ourselves. And they did. Starting with the children, they injected
you got to.
purple Kool-Aid laced with cyanide into the children's mouths, and then they all mass suicided. A very small number of people managed to run off into the jungle and survive. But that was the largest single killing of Americans in one event prior to 9/11.
And self-inflicted.
Some not so voluntarily,
Right.
but mostly self-inflicted.
Jeez.
And I'm old enough that's one of the first news stories I remember is a helicopter flying over this farmstead and just bodies.
Yeah, you've seen the pictures just like laid out.
They
row after
would
row.
drink the thing, and then they would just lay down next to somebody else who was already dead and die.
This is how many in total did?
Well, 918 on that day,
Oh my God!
and then in the months following, more People's Temple, four in the Guyanese capital, Georgetown, the next day. There were several more incidents in the United States.
Like copycat,
Small numbers,
basically,
but-
following up on...
Small numbers, like 2 or 3 at a time. So it just self-annihilated. This utopia just...
So what you're telling me is I can't convert to this religion now?
Weirdly, there are a few adherents left.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you can convert and you're going straight to the top, baby.
Yeah, you can be in charge
Just
if
like
you want to.
Just like the Branch Davidians, there are still some adherents to that faith.
Bring your own drinks.
Oh my God! And this is where we get the phrase "he really drank the Kool-Aid,"
Yep.
which is when you know the story, an alarmingly terrifying phrase to use. Don't ever use
Yeah.
that phrase. It's so insensitive to say, like, because people use it like, he
He's falling
believed
in with that type.
he believed the story about about the birds in Yellowstone. He really drank the Kool-Aid of that.
But isn't it like so freaky that something that started out as this actual kind of positive
Yeah.
in not very long, in just 20, 25 years, or a little under 30 years, took such a bizarre, dark turn, and there you go, the People's Temple.
you
Wow.
got-
Well, what a nice story.
What a delightful time we've just had. Thanks, everybody. Let's move on.
Moving on.
Well, Mark, we again forced to do the segment of thanks. We need to give thanks.
Yeah, again,
in this show.
we have been delighted by the outpouring of support, both moral and financial.
Indeed. So big thanks to the people. So these are people who have gone to howtoheretic.com or just to our directly to our Patreon page and clicked on the Patreon thing, gone through, and these are donors to our show. So I'm going to name them by name, and we have one special thing that we got to do too.
I love it.
So thanks to Peter, Drunken Disorderly, Eric, Stephen, Julie, Terry, Casey, Jason, Paul, Aaron, Phelan, and we owe Human Instrumentality Project a heaven.
That's a strange name for a lad.
Yeah, well, a project is going to heaven.
Why
don't-
not?
Sure.
Look, we'll send anybody to heaven for $10.
We will indeed. So yes, one of the rewards that you can get if you donate at a certain level is your own customized afterlife.
So, Dan, have you augured a heaven?
I have done, such as it is. Human Instrumentality Project. Welcome to the nursery.
Oh,
Welcome to the lavish comforts that can only come from total regression. Here in the nursery, your every whim is quickly tended to by loving attendants, each of whose highest priority is your happiness. Only the softest of fabrics will ever be allowed to touch your skin as you relax, surrounded by a peaceful pastiche of muted pastel colors and stimulating kinetic art hanging from the ceilings.
tell me more.
Your tiniest cry out will fetch you a bottle of your favorite flavors. Summon someone to clean up any mess you care to make, or bring a kind caretaker just to hold you for a while.
Wow.
You'll be fawned over again and again, treated as like the special little kiddo that you always knew you were, safe and secure in a wonderland of blankets and quilts. You'll be serenaded by soothing rockabye voices and gently stroked as you drift off to night time.
I like the gently stroke part. Okay.
Yeah.
Go on. I'm with you.
Here in the nursery, all the choices are yours. You call all the shots. If there's ever anything you don't like, simply reject it outright, and our helpful staff will whisk it away, so you'll never have to see it again. And if you get the least bit fussy, they'll set you down in front of your favorite TV shows while they go off and fold your laundry or make your lunch.
Wow.
Yes, life is easy in the nursery. Your loving home for eternity.
Forever.
Moving on. So, Uncle Mark.
Uncle Dan.
It is time for us to talk about how to come out of the closet as an atheist.
Oh, thank God. I thought you were going to say the other thing, and this was like some kind of intervention with me.
Mark, tell everybody the truth.
I am a gay homosexual.
Gross. Anyway, we'll move on from that.
We're not talking about that?
No,
Okay.
we're just talking about atheism. Much very similar coming out.
Okay, well, let's cut that first bit out.
Okay,
So,
that's cut. Don't
not
worry.
ready.
Don't worry. We won't tell anybody.
well, we have a special guest to help us talk.
We
about
do, because
coming
you
out.
and I are idiots. So we need help with this. So please, everyone, welcome to our show, Paige Palmer, licensed clinical social worker. Is that a real thing?
That's a real thing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was saying for a second there.
It totally exists.
And psychotherapist.
I am. I'm both of those things.
Amazing! Wow, I got them all right and everything.
And I feel like he can see right through me. It's pretty cool. I feel really exposed right now.
We're all very exposed. Paige, welcome. Thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, you're welcome. Happy to.
We brought you in here because there's this thing that happens when you leave your religion where at some point you got to start telling folks about it.
Yeah.
Because they'll ask questions.
And first, you have to tell yourself. You have to finally come to that point where you're like,
Indeed.
shit.
And that's a process, and most of us do it quite unskillfully because we don't know who to turn to for help.
True. Yeah.
So maybe you can give us some pointers, some thoughts on ways to do that that will make it less painful than some of us did.
And are you charging us for this? Because we can just
Totally.
run through it.
Totally.
We can
Double, in fact. Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, is don't be in a hurry.
Okay.
I mean, I think oftentimes people, as you begin to deal with a crisis of faith and you become clearer and clearer that you're not among the believers anymore, there is a kind of urgency that sets in. You feel like you have to do something. And I think time's on your side if you're willing.
Huh.
There's a notion that just because you're having a crisis, you have to act quickly. I think you're better off taking your time. There's no
Interesting.
urgency in this matter. It may feel tremendously urgent, but you want to get your wits about you and your bearings. Not everybody is in the same boat when they're coming out as a non-believer. Some people are in very dangerous situations.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh yeah, if you're in the deep South and you're coming out as an atheist, expect a tremendous backlash.
It's true. I when Frank Feldman on Thank God I'm Atheist and we did a road trip through the South, and we met people who, at least one guy who expressed to us that his father was a pastor, his boss was a pastor, and basically he knew that why, so he worked in public education, and he said legally they can't stop, they can't do anything to me because just because I don't believe in God, but they can sure as hell not promote me.
Indeed.
And never tell me why, and never explain, and never come up with an excuse. And then he said, and if he came out as an atheist, also his dad would probably lose his job as a pastor and lose his congregation. And because, being a pastor and having his son come out of the closet as an atheist would then be an indication of a failure on his point. So
right.
It's murky water. It can be a very dangerous thing. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And I mean, that's true among Mormons. It's true among Baptists. It's not limited to a denomination.
Right.
Devout Catholics encounter this. Muslims certainly.
Yeah. Jews.
The Jews. It's not limited to any particular belief system. You have a group of people who you're leaving.
Right.
Even if you don't want to, you're leaving. If you're Jewish and you have a child who's considering leaving the faith, you have to understand this is a culture that has been so soundly persecuted that it's an act of disloyalty to your heritage,
right,
to leave. So it's really just a tremendously emotional experience. So people have all kinds of investments in you continuing in the faith. Culturally, that can be profound, especially if you're from a faith that's suffered, pretty heavily at the hands of other faiths, or governments and so forth. And so, if you're going to leave, you should expect people to have an emotional reaction to you leaving.
Yeah, there's this in-group, out-group thing that happens.
Absolutely.
And there's an almost if you're not with us, you're against us thing that often crops up. That's very strange.
Yeah, like literally the word betrayal is used.
Right.
Yeah.
And in both directions.
Yeah.
When you leave people who are believers, they can feel very betrayed by your leaving. But when you believe something profoundly, when people who love you and who you love have told you your whole life, I know these things are true. This is reality. And then you find out they didn't do their due diligence. That's a tremendous betrayal, actually.
Yeah.
Gosh, I just don't feel that at all in my life.
No, of course not.
Having grown up in the, scientifically provable reality of Mormonism.
Well, and Mormons are not unique in their easily disproven beliefs.
No.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating process to begin to deal with the issue of disbelief.
Yeah.
I don't believe anymore becomes an emotional battlefield of culture and history and family. Those folks have a tremendous investment, the same investment perhaps that you once had. To do this in a hurry, you may want to just relax a little bit, get your bearings. There are tremendous potential costs. If you're young and you're talking about leaving the faith, you may be without support. There are children who wind up homeless in their teens because of this.
Yeah, right. we have an enormous issue with that in Utah, particularly.
Absolutely.
Where young people have come to, they come to the point where they realize they're done, and their parents are like, "Great, hit the street.
See ya.
You're out." Yeah.
It does happen. And while some families are really remarkable, I mean, there are some folks who do such a great job in dealing with family members who move away. They can do really well. But you may not be among those. If in fact you have a family like that, you don't need to listen to this segment. You're going to get tremendous support for your stepping away. And, Mormons actually, I know a lot of Mormons who've left the faith who've not had any backlash from devout family members. So that has to be said too. The question is, what's your circumstance?
Yeah.
And if you're going to suffer tremendously occupationally, financially, if you're going to lose your entire social network, maybe you need to move slowly.
Yeah.
And decide really what your goals are.
I think that's an interesting thing. And I think it's also interesting, as you mentioned, the anger that can come with that sense of betrayal, that feeling of all of you people were the people I trusted most, and it turns out you lied to me. Not wittingly, but it turns out that all of this stuff that you raised me with isn't true. That can bring up a lot of anger for a lot of people. And I think that your caution to slow down might be really useful for that side of it as well.
Well, when you're dealing with your own anger is incredibly mobilizing.
Yeah.
In the service of what?
Oh, that's interesting.
What are you going to use your anger for? Are you going to use it to save your family from believing? Well, that's one hell of a goal.
And it's a goal that can work, but I've seen it more often than not blow up in people's faces.
Well, absolutely.
It's a good way to lose your family.
Right. And I think that's the kind of thing that if it does work, it works over a long period of time. So, some great, I think would be great advice is the idea to, coming out is more than just a declaration. if you're going to do it right, is that you need to kind of make a plan. You need to have a long-term view of how you're going to do this, especially if you're in a vulnerable situation. You're going to get thrown out of the house, or lose your job, or lose your relationship, or
right.
Yeah. So, Paige, do you have some advice for how to start that plan? How do I, let's just say that I've now determined I'm no longer religious. And I know that my family's going to react strongly to this, or it's not going to be easy for them. How do I start planning to do this? What are some good steps to take?
Well, I think you want to ask, what are my goals?
Okay.
For me, leaving your religion might be an act of differentiation, which is the kind of psychobabble term for it. It really just means this is how I begin to separate myself from the things I've been programmed to believe, the things that I can affirm for myself are valid for me. And further, if you really want a great life, to continue to be in relationship with people in meaningful ways. People get differentiated, and they can take a big stand, and they can burn down their relationships, and they can really separate themselves incredibly well. But that can be done through anger and bitterness and contempt, and that can be pretty damaging to you and the people around you. The ability to stay in relationship while holding a different belief is a pretty profound thing. I watched Pete Carroll, today's this big NFL day where, Donald Trump has suggested that owners should fire those son of a bitches who kneel down and protest when the anthem has been played. Pete Carroll and others came out and said, no, today's a day where we're going to be different, where we're going to accept that we have differences, but we're going to support each other in our differences, and we can disagree strongly, but we're going to continue to demonstrate respect for each other. We're going to do this in a unified way, which I think is an amazing point. And it's rare among people, and it's getting rarer and rarer in our country to have strong, profound disagreement in civil ways. Indeed.
I saw that just yesterday when my wife and my father-in-law were talking, and they, when politics comes up between us, that can be a dicey thing. And I saw, and I realized that there was a moment where I started to become incredibly uncomfortable. And what I realized was that was the moment when it pivoted from discussion to argument.
Indeed.
And it started to feel a lot less healthy, and it started to feel a lot less productive. And suddenly it was just everyone's defending their position rather than listening. And that seemed like it just felt substantively different.
Indeed.
It seems to me that that's not the best way to foster good relations between family members. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that what we're talking about here?
Yeah, at least you can control your end of it.
Right.
A lot of people are going to have family members or a culture, employers and so on and so forth, that are not going to behave civilly towards them. But that doesn't mean you have to behave uncivilly yourself. And so I think you want to start with, what are my goals here? Do I want to maintain relationships? Do I want to end my relationships, start elsewhere? Do I want to start a new tribe? Some people will have to start a new tribe.
Yeah.
I mean, really, some folks are just not going to have anything except punishment and the massive manipulations that go with bringing you back into tow.
Right.
And a lot of what you can expect are the kind of manipulations that people use in life. They can use psychological coercion. They're going to be combative, name-calling. They're going to be using all the verbal aggression that they can do to bring you into tow. That can be pretty sophisticated, actually. It doesn't have to be loud and screaming. I mean,
right.
Donald Trump is an amateur compared to some families who can do this in very subtle ways. I mean, even the assertion that if you're a disbeliever, it must mean you're a sinner.
Right.
That the only explanation for us now disagreeing is that I am morally infirm and less than you.
Right.
That's a very sophisticated attack on a human being.
Yeah, it's very cruel.
Yeah, you have to be defective not to agree with me.
Yeah.
And because I have the truth, I'm completely insulated from doubt, and I'm going to lay this on you in a really aggressive way. So you get that kind of psychological coercion, and sometimes that's coupled with physical coercion. There can be all kinds of physical things that occur in a family system that are range from physical assault and brutality to excluding you from resources, having you leave the home, as you mentioned, to strange ways of looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
You get that look. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
It's like, oh, you poor thing. You poor thing.
Right.
Once again, the message is clear.
Pitying is just, yeah.
Pitying is aggression.
It's aggression.
Yeah.
It's a strange form of aggression that masquerades as concern, but you feel the weight of it. It's one of the interesting things is in relationships, we're feeling everything all the time. Neurobiologically, we're feeling all the information in a room. And so we're feeling the efforts of our families to bring us back into tow of our culture. And that can take the form of really obvious physical aggression, really obvious psychological aggression. It can be much more subtle but equally profound. But that's just one of the manipulations, these kind of aggressions. And they can be microaggressions or large-scale aggressions, but they're cumulative. And when you're getting this from multiple domains, your knees can buckle under the weight of that. So I think you need to be prepared for what's coming. And if your goal is to correct everybody's belief system, you're going to encounter the resistance that you put out.
Well, and what's interesting is that if your goal is to correct their belief system, you're doing their thing. You're doing the same thing they're trying to do to you. And it seems like that's two walls hitting each other.
Well, it totally is. And if you think about it, those of us who are leaving a belief system, we've been trained. If you've been raised in a system that has tremendous fear and exercises tremendous control over its membership, what are the odds that you're not going to have fear and control as part of you? And so one of your goals can be, I need to look deeply in myself and see what I'm retaining and how that can operate. Because if I become an evangelical atheist, angry, red-faced in the face of the people that have claimed to love me and that I've claimed to love, man, I've become the worst parts of my history and my religion. And so I think it's why it's so important to ask, what are my goals? Because I think the first goal ought to be, let me know myself. Let me get clear. I've been able to figure out that I'm not a believer, but what parts of my past belief system is leading me into this next stage.
Right.
For those of us who are Mormon and we listen to people each, one Sunday of the month get up and say, I know this is true, boom, boom, and they're testifying, they're doing... And then we come to believe that that's not true. We almost mirror that by testifying to how it's false.
Right. I know that this is wrong.
I know this is wrong becomes the mirror image. Now, okay, you can say that's a legitimate thing to do, and I think a case can be made for it. But, you're not going to get very far with your system.
Right.
They're going to be chatting with each other. They're going to be consolidating. And so you have to ask, really, what are my goals? And I always like to get clear about, what am I retaining from that? My own anger, my own betrayal, and it can be so rich, the hurt that you feel. And I think for many people that grew up Mormon like I did, there's a tremendous amount of pain in learning that, even if you didn't deliberately lie to me, the steps that you went to proclaim this were so great, and it's fundamentally flawed. And when I sit with it at times, it's laughable.
Yeah.
There's so much anger and betrayal in that you can just start to rage at the world.
Yeah.
And then you become the mirror images of the worst parts of an organization. You don't retain any of the positive parts.
Well, I would just jump in and say that I think, far be it for me to take the side of the religious worldview, but if the people in your life really believe this stuff, if they truly believe it, and it's not just momentum. It's not just an inertia that it's their culture, it's their family. But if they really believe these things, it's a high stakes game.
Indeed.
Yeah.
They really, really, really think you are in major jeopardy.
Well, it's more important than the life that you're living now. It's the life that you're going to get to live in the next, right? Eternal sweepstakes.
Right. So and I think that really complicates the coming out process. If you need to just get the fuck out of where your family and your tribe, like you say, and just be safe, and they're never going to come around and they're never going to accept you, then you just need to do that. But if you want to retain them in your life, it complicates the coming out, but to understand that they really are deeply concerned about your decision,
Sure.
right?
And
it's tough.
that comes from a place of love, or at least a place of. I mean, part of it comes from a place
Right.
of love. I think it gets confused. I think that it gets conflated with their sense of betrayal and their sense of you can't, people. It's the crabs pulling the other crabs back into the boiling pot sort of thing. But I think that but yeah, I mean, it seems to me that if you're going to talk to loved ones, you have you don't have to, but it's helpful to keep in mind how scary this might be for them.
Indeed. I mean, look how scary it was for you coming to terms yourself.
Right.
And somehow I think we get in a hurry for other people to take our position anyway. And, there's a place for psychotherapy in helping you come to terms with yourself, or in developing a tribe that you can consolidate your newfound belief or whatever and look for support there. But this is different. You're dealing with people who don't have this commitment to whatever it is that you're committed to. And it's important not to become evangelical about your own position until you're really clear about your own goals. Where do you want to go with this?
Right.
And I don't think we're going to be able to stamp out belief in this world.
No.
Well, why do we have you on here? Why are we doing this?
What's the point now?
That was my question earlier.
Perfectly wasted Sunday afternoon.
Yes, indeed. Although we're not in church, let's face it. Everything is not lost.
Well, and I want to make the point too that I think for a lot of us, when we really discovered the skeptical method and we really started deconstructing all these things, or trying to find information to get us out, and we became, a lot of us, myself, became very obsessed with scientific reason for this, provable reason for this. Now, that's another language. You're trying to use that against in intellectual combat. You're trying to use that against people who have no use for that language. Right?
Okay.
They've accepted really some very absurd things about the world, and I think that's a fight that I've seen a lot of young people have with family members, and it's like, I don't know how that's going to work for you. Like trying to prove evolution to somebody who thinks the Earth is 6,000 years old.
Right.
Those are two ships passing in the night.
We live in a world where, in the scientific community, among people who have a background in physics and biology, 40% continue to believe in creationism and religion. Now that should be really striking. Now we're not
I find
trying.
it baffling. Yeah.
It is baffling to me. And before I start trying to change the opinions of my family members who have no background in that, using some scientific idea, I think I have to first understand the fact that a lot of scientifically minded people continue to hold those same positions.
Right.
And whatever their reasons are, it could be, social, that maybe they're getting a lot out of that experience. They find comfort in it and reassurance about an afterlife. I don't care. But people with a scientific background continue to hold that. What are the odds that you're going to be able to argue people using scientific ideas into your way of belief? And should you go down that road? Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. What are your goals?
Yeah.
And I think you really have to get honest with, am I trying to rid my family of religion by arguing with them about what I've discovered?
Yeah.
No, I think a case can be made for doing that. I mean, in some ways, when people become believers in a gospel, they want to share the good news of the gospel with their friends and the people they love. So they immediately start sharing the good news. When you find disbelief, which is a remarkable kind of freedom in some ways, you want to free everybody.
Yeah.
And that can be a noble kind of thing. Great. They may not want to be freed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They may find that they're completely disinterested in it. So,
which is baffling to so many of us. Like this is one of the things that we have to sort of come to terms with, is that there are so many people out. Some of the smartest minds I know stay in their religion, and when I ask them about it, they have very sophisticated explanations for all of the questions that I have, or they have sophisticated ways of avoiding a lot of the questions that I want to bring up with them. And you want to believe that, oh, well, this is, now that I've discovered leaving religion for myself, obviously it's the smart thing. So everybody should be able to be talked into this or whatever. And it took me a while to realize that, oh, you know what? People are entrenched. People are deep in their own thing. And I'm gaining so little by annoying them into trying, I'm every bit as annoying as a missionary coming to my door because I'm not listening to them very much. I'm just trying to I can get you. I know I can get you to believe what I believe. And what am I gaining from that? So for me, I realized, oh, you know what? I'd just rather have an interesting relationship with an interesting person than make them believe what I believe.
That's a whole different life.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to be evangelical. If you want to be evangelical about your atheism, great.
Sure.
Just don't expect everybody to be thrilled. And you got to ask, is that my goal? And I always like to know where do I want to be? If I'm going to engage in this process, where am I trying to get to? Am I trying to rid the world from this? Am I trying to rid my family of it? Am I trying to free everyone? Because I think you need to do your own work first. And when you're leaving your faith, there's going to be feelings of betrayal. There's going to be feelings of grief and loss that are profound. You lose something when you leave something you've strongly believed in. Now, some people didn't strongly believe, and for them, waltzing away is not much of a step.
Right.
I mean, it's really just they kind of went to church sometimes, and now they go not at all, maybe. And for them, it wasn't big. But for those who are devout, it can be really wrenching. And so being clear about where you want to get as you move through the process begins to support that. And there's a lot of work to do with yourself that involves coming to peace first before you start trying to preach some good news of some new gospel.
Right.
Even if it's the gospel of freedom. I mean, I love living in a world where the natural world makes perfect sense, given the fact that I don't explain it using God anymore.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It functions really remarkably, and we discover more and more about it. I'm excited about that. I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll be talking about all that great science and this amazing thing that I'm learning about the natural world, and I'll look at somebody who's a believer and I'll realize I'm in the wrong room.
Yeah.
They're not interested. And so, you might want to consider, who's your tribe? How do you want to do this? What's your work? And how you want to go about that. And so, I don't know, what were you guys' goals when you were coming out?
Didn't even occur to me to have a goal.
I just wanted, in my case, it was a really bad family situation, and Mormonism very much exacerbated all of their kind of worst instincts. And so my only goal was just to get away.
To get away.
Just to get away as fast as I could. And all the intellectual stuff, all the learning about, all the mythology and all the gobbledygook, that came later. I wasn't even interested in it. I just wanted to get away from it.
You wanted to escape.
Yeah, I wanted to escape. So
there's your goal. I want
that
to
was
escape.
the goal. Yeah. To stay alive. It's a good goal.
It's a great goal.
Yeah. That's noble. That's worthy.
So far, it's worked.
You're alive.
I'm alive.
You did it.
If you call this living.
Yeah, well.
I'm a podcaster.
Could be worse. And I'm not sure how, but I'm pretty sure it could be. It's funny because when you say what's your goal, I think I was just, I started this journey as a teenager and I was just baffled. So I think if I had a goal, it was something along the lines of just make some sense of all of this.
And you were actually really, really profoundly a believer, right?
Oh yeah, I was deep. I wanted it to be true. More than anything, I wanted it to be true. But in order for that to work for me, the promises of it had to be true. So I had to have a personal relationship with God, which I was promised. And I didn't feel like that was there. I felt like a lot of those pieces were in place, but that piece didn't feel like it was in place. So I tried and tried and tried. I prayed and I fasted and I read scripture and I just spent a lot of time trying to make that happen. But for whatever reason, I'm someone who just can't fake it. I couldn't allow myself to sort of pretend that the feelings that I were feeling were enough.
And it's weird that you're an actor.
Yes, I fake for a living. I don't do it at home.
You're a big phony.
I'm a big but that's my job.
That's your day job.
That's not me.
Yeah.
So when I when I finally had to acknowledge that this isn't working, like that God isn't talking back. It was, I think the goal was to figure out who I could be now that the experiment's been run and it failed.
Mm. So you wanted to be honest, and then you wanted to figure out who you are, separate from it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and we can spend our whole lives trying to figure out who we are.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's still a journey that's happening.
I think Oscar Wilde said only the shallow know themselves. I always liked that.
It's in my experience as a kid, and I think there was a lot to do with a dysfunctional family, but I'd be a deacon, which is a lowly boy's job in the Mormon faith.
Yeah, Mormon nomenclature is confusing for those who are in other Christian sects.
A deacon is not a ranking position.
No.
But in fast and testimony meeting back in the day when we would pass around corded mics, and I would see, 70s Mormonism that was kind of hard ass. Like there was very, very stoic, cold, and I would see these grown men in my ward stand up and just start blubbering and bearing their testimonies and crying. And I never felt anything. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was like, "Oh, I'm defective. Something's really deeply wrong with me."
Which turns out not to be entirely
It just wasn't
untrue.
that.
It wasn't that thing.
Yeah,
though.
it wasn't.
But you're describing an experience that people have. For those of us who become heretical, who choose for ourselves, it's really interesting. You're in a room full of people. They're blubbering about it. They're having an enormous emotional experience. They apparently are having this deep spiritual thing. They're people we respect and value, and we're not having that experience. And our conclusion is there's something wrong with us.
Right.
Now, that's an extraordinary experience to have, to sit in a room full of people who seem to be sharing an experience. You value them, you love them, you respect them. And your conclusion is, there must be something wrong with me. Yeah. I must have sinned. And of course, we all have. I mean, that's an amazing thing when people suggest that the reason for your disbelief is that you're a sinner. Well, that's fairly easy because they're going to be right. I am, because we all are, according to you.
Well, and it's a remarkable claim also, considering that most Christian sects, at least, say everyone's a sinner.
Exactly.
So for you to say, ha, it's because you're a sinner.
And the devil is influencing you.
You're not?
And so here you've had that experience where you've actually internalized that judgment. There must be something wrong with me that I don't share your experience.
Right.
There's that doubt, and when you finally step away, you feel the weight of having been trained to reject yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
Not only was I rejected for a variety of other things from others, but I've internalized that rejection. Now I'm rejecting myself. Mm-hmm. And when I look at it, I think, okay, I reject myself. All right, I've internalized that. And maybe humans are designed genetically for it, who knows? But I culturally have been programmed. And I've also been culturally programmed to respond to fear and to use fear and to use control with other people. I want to confront that in myself. I don't want to be a force for the same bullshit that did those things to me. And so when I talk about what are your goals, well, maybe one of the first goals should be to construct a human being that can at least be at peace while facing honestly what you're carrying. And oftentimes that's so much hurt and betrayal, it's ridiculous.
Right.
I mean, in my professional practice, I have people come in frequently because now I'm kind of out as an atheist. And I'm not kind of out, I'm real clear about it.
Why don't you shut up about it?
Yeah, no shit. I do periodically, but yes, people find me, and then we begin another journey. And the injury, it's a strange spiritual, emotional, psychological injury to have believed so deeply, to have learned to reject yourself, to assume there must be something wrong with you when you can't comply. As you're working that through, all that stuff is still here. And if we're not really careful, we practice it with our children, we practice with our lovers, and we practice with our friends. And we begin to mirror that in this culture, and this culture eats that up. It's a language of incivility, contest, to be right, and that's a war. And as far as I can tell, I think we're a bunch of really smart primates walking around. We made all this shit up. So maybe we need to take a position where we're doing our own best work, dealing with our own injuries, before we start deciding what we're going to do with others.
Oh, wow.
It sounds very much like the cycle of abuse, right? That
why not end it in you?
Passing on
the
the same shit that got dumped on us. We just, change the language or change the, the window dressing.
It's true. And when you consider the level of trauma that's in the world, whether it's just the brutality of things or the kind of trauma that people are experiencing culturally and politically in this country, people are injured. And when people are injured, they're afraid. And when people are afraid, they want control.
Yeah.
And so they seek people who will give them control, people who will make America great again, for example.
Yes.
They're going to make these grand promises, and I'm sorry, they're not going to deliver.
Right.
That's not true. The coal mine is not going to open back up.
Right.
And when you sell your soul to these megalomaniacs and these people who are promising things like this, what you're trying to do is to respond to somebody who's going to restore control. Your own fear has given rise to that. And if we don't confront this in ourselves, we're likely to repeat it with others. And I at least want to stop my repetition in my generation. I don't want to do that to my children, which I have, because so much of that is part of me.
Right.
I need to correct it. I need to, clean it up with them. I need to clean up with my culture. So when I talk about goals, people don't consider that they might have a goal.
Right.
Do I want to rid the world from religion? Good luck, That's just that's a grand goal that the world's not probably going to support you in. My family, well, are they asking for this? Did they want liberation or do they want comfort? Do they want a continued experience of their culture surviving the odds when they've been oppressed? And, their experiences that you're just leaving them and abandoning them. I don't know. But I think when you begin to ask what my goals are, you start to get clear about you. And then if you want to have these conversations, there will be people available to them. There'll be people who will do more than coerce you. There will be people who do more than try to shame and guilt you back into compliance. There will be people who don't use service to bring you back.
Right.
There will be people who actually engage in human behaviors with you as an authentic experience. They are available in this world. It's not all just pure awful manipulation to bring you back into compliance. But what are you bringing? And I think that becomes really important. And dealing with your own bitterness and upset is, I think, one of the early goals that you have to have. And how to do that becomes quite the interesting process.
Yeah. How do you do that?
And I think the three of us are former Mormons, and Mormonism has a very all or nothing proposition. And I think that's part of our training is that it was all or nothing. So it doesn't have to necessarily be that way. Like for instance, if your tribe aren't horrible people, then finding a new tribe doesn't mean fully abandoning the old one.
Absolutely.
Right? You need like-minded people that can support you, that you can have these conversations with, that isn't war, that you have some community outside of this other thing, but you don't have to give it all up.
Right.
Right. I mean, if you can't have as a goal to keep the people in my life who can tolerate this experience and to let go of those who can't. I mean, that could be a reasonable goal.
Yeah.
I want to keep as many people in my life who can handle my disbelief. And for those who can't, I want to say, I wish you well,
Right.
And then you deal with the emotions that go with loss that accompany that. And there's always loss with this thing.
Right.
If you had any affection and you lose it, you're going to have some loss about your religion. And you deal with that. But that's a reasonable goal. I want to keep as many of the people that I love in my life as I can. Well, I think battering them with science may not be your best strategy.
Right. Or if they're battering you with their religion. Shit, maybe, and it doesn't have to be permanent, maybe there's a time away.
Well, and I've seen people block their mothers, from their phone because the assault on them was endless.
Right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. These people who love us so much they're afraid for us. They want control of us. They want to bring us back. They want that person back who was there. And they'll use every manipulation to make that come true because, as you said earlier, the stakes are high.
Yeah.
If you're a true believer and your child is leaving, those stakes are immortal kind of stakes.
Yes, they're forever.
Forever mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to say this is a deep, deep well that we're in, and there's a lot more to talk about. But I think maybe we should break off at this point. And thank you so much for coming in, Paige. This has been a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, this is an excellent conversation for us to have with our listeners and with each other. It's a lot more to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be here, and to me it's interesting. Once you pull the lid off, it goes. This is a deep well,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of possibilities, and I think the more we can talk about it with people who can support us, the better off we're going to be. And there are a lot of venues for that.
Indeed, there are. So here's one thing that I'm going to say: if someone out there is seeking some help, I think psychotherapy can be a very useful tool in this.
Yeah, it can be
in this adventure.
It can also be a dead end because, especially in this culture, a lot of therapists you're going to go to are LDS.
Well, yeah.
If you're trying to leave the LDS faith, this happens. They can tell you that you need to read your scriptures and, really reconsider. That happens, and so selection of a therapist becomes really, really important. You have to have somebody who can hold the space for you while you do your exploration, even if it's different than their belief system. So that's challenging work.
So a careful choice in a psychotherapist. Now, there is the Secular Therapy Project. I believe that's the name of it. That is a national organization here in the United States. They may be international now. I'm not positive about that. But look them up, and that they will anonymously pair you, hopefully, with either a therapist in your area who is sympathetic to the atheist experience, or they can even pair you with someone who will do remote therapy with you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I mean, I think anybody who can support you in your journey, there's lots of online groups that you can get involved with too you can share your experience and you can look at our advice, and some of those online communities are really amazing.
It's incredible how helpful it is when you're especially if you're in a very lonely position to tell your story and to have somebody hear your story and then share theirs. I think that's part of the reason we're doing this whole thing is those voices. So
yeah, indeed. So hopefully, Paige, you haven't had too awful an experience, because we'd love to have you back at another time.
Sure.
And thank you so much for coming back on.
Happy to.
Thanks, Paige.
All right.
Well, friends, that's it for this week's show. And Uncle Dan and I have been amazed by the reach of this little show in its young days.
Oh, so great, you guys. We want to know more about you.
So tell us where you are in the world a little bit. Follow us on Twitter at HowToHeretic and use the hashtag HowdyHeretic and tell us maybe where you are, how old you are, and if you feel safe, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, you know, 140 characters or less, and we'd love to get to know you. Now, if you want to say something a little bit more than that, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at howto@howtoheretic.com.
Or leave us a voicemail at 903-88-HOW-TO, which is 903-884-6986.
Yeah, hey, thanks again to our patrons. If you want to become one of them and get a thanks on air, among other things, check us out. Go to howtoheretic.com and click on the Patreon button.
Yeah, we sure count on your support, and we would like to thank the amazing Cody Layton for producing and editing the show.
Yeah, and thank you guys for tuning in. It's amazing.
It is amazing. Bye-bye, friends.
Bye.